Welcome back to my tutorial for Gears of War 5 on Insane Mode, Solo. And yeah, the game definitely starts to get harder now in some of these encounters. There is one encounter that's quite difficult, and it may be one of the harder encounters in the game on this mode, though I haven't cleared Insane yet. But it seems like it may be. And it's pretty, it's pretty difficult. I mean, most of the sections in that fight, it has, a good amount of checkpoints. So there's really only one checkpoint that gave me trouble. It probably took me maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours for that one checkpoint. So that was the standout part for me, difficulty-wise. For this part, you're forced to use your pistol, and all you got to do is shoot at these wretch type enemies that come at you, these little juvies. Of course, getting a few pellets on their head will kill them faster, obviously, but either way, it doesn't really matter as long as you're getting bullets in them and paying attention to your reloads, so you don't get, you don't jam your reloads, and then you should be all right. I never died on this sequence, so I don't believe there's any checkpoints during this little fight, but it's very easy. And then after you kill a certain amount, you'll get this little cutscene, and that pretty much ends this little encounter. Also, keep in mind, make sure to scour all the areas and just take your time on Insane. I would, on Hardcore, it's probably not going to be a big deal, or Experience Mode, as they call it in this game. But on Insane, I recommend really scouring the environments to get all the upgrade chips. For this encounter, this is another very easy fight. There is one problematic enemy. You got the shotgun grenadier enemies, which are, they have more armor, and if they shoot you up close with the shotgun, you're pretty much dead. And since this is a small area, it doesn't take long for them to close the distance. So, I would say just deal with these guys as you normally would with a long-range weapon from behind this desk. And, use Jack to stun them every once in a while. When the grenadier guy comes out, I just, blind fired a grenade and then blind fired my shotgun pretty much, and that was good enough. So you may want to use that tactic. I mean, of course, there's a lot of ways you could do it. It's only one grenadier. You're going to be facing a lot of these later on. So now for this sequence, this is a longer sequence. You probably want to start off getting the long shot over here and maybe pop a few of the heads to thin it out a little bit. And I'll explain some of the positioning. This is not a hard section. There's some good tricks. You can keep your distance in this area. Eventually, you're going to want to come down, but you don't have to go up where all the enemies are. You can kind of just hang back and pick at the enemies. You can also have the robot, grab ammo for you. So, if you need more sniper ammo, there's probably a few pickups that you can use to get a little ammo back, if I remember right. I think I beat this like maybe a day or two ago. I had to edit it together, and I wanted to have enough footage to close out the chapter. So it was a few play sessions, like 2 play sessions. Yeah, so if you just stay back here, you can use your Lancer to pick off these guys. You can also use Jack to stun them as usual. You can mark them for your teammates, and that may speed it up a little bit. You also got that big ammo crate right by those truck tires in front of me right here. So, have the robot grab that, and that'll give you more sniper ammo, so you can pick off a few more guys. You don't really want to miss headshots if you can avoid it, because you're probably not going to have a lot of ammo for this long shot. So try to make the shots count. I would just go for headshots and avoid trying to do body shots and avoid finishing off guys that are crawling. Just leave those guys alone, or maybe whip out your Lancer or your pistol if you want to finish them. But, usually if they're crawling, they're kind of fucked anyway. So I would just focus on the active guys and just try to headshot them. It's pretty easy to blind fire, not really blind fire, but to headshot without using your zoom in with the sniper rifle, because the reticles are good in this game. They've improved the reticles, so you don't need to even zoom in a lot of times to get headshots. So yeah, you're going to clear out a bunch of these guys, and then once you see the lasers, you're going to see these lasers come up. these aiming lasers, and those are going to be the snipers. Once the snipers appear, they can one-shot kill you. So you do get some leniency with the laser bead. You won't get one-shot killed usually immediately if the beam is on you. Usually you have a moment to react, but still, you really don't want to be letting that laser on your body for too long. You got to really move. So yeah, now that you see these lasers, there's a good way to deal with these snipers. You'll go into, I'll show you where I went. I went into one of these buildings, and I got a good vantage point. I would summon the Tri-Shot Guardians. You only summon protection, and you only like summon these alleys like a few times in the entire game. It would have been a cool mechanic to use more often, but it only happens. It may only be like 3 times in the game. I'm not even sure. It doesn't seem like much. But I would recommend summoning the Tri-Shot dudes because, you know, as I said in the earlier video, once they die, they're going to drop the Tri-Shot. And then you can use that, and it's going to make one of the upcoming encounters much easier. So I recommend that. So now for this part, I went into one of the buildings, which you'll see. I mean, initially I'm just picking off some of these scragglers before I deal with the snipers, but see, now that was dangerous. See, that kind of thing can get you one-shot killed, but I got lucky. But you don't want that laser to be on your body for too long. But yeah, eventually I will make my way into one of these buildings, and you'll see that you have a good. There's a really good viewpoint in one of these buildings where you can take out the snipers, and they don't even really deal with you at all. So it's a good way to like blindside them and take them out. Yeah, so now I go into this building, and you'll see once you go in here, you got some ammo in here, and you also got a great vantage point if you still have your sniper rifle. If you don't have your sniper rifle, it's not going to be as easy to take these guys out, obviously, with the Lancer. But I'm sure it can be done. It's just going to be, it's not the best distance to use a Lancer at. But yeah, when they pop their head over those desks and shit, it's easy to pop off a few heads. Of course, you can also use your, use Jack to stun them so that you can get easier headshots. But it's very easy. You know, like I said, this section is really very easy if you play it like this. The pouncers are the main issue. Now you have this drone enemy, but if you use this pillar right here from this vantage point, you know, a lot of times he'll shoot the boom shot into the pillar and not hit you. So just try to use that. Try to keep that between you and him, and try to hit his head when his head is outside of that pillar just a little bit. You know, try to get in a few sniper headshots, and you'll pop his head. It's an easy way to do that whole sequence. So now I recommend going into this building over here and grabbing the M bar. It won't trigger the pouncers to come out, so you'll have a good weapon to deal with the pouncers, because the pouncers are a pain in the ass. So, you know, I would recommend getting rid of your Lancer or whatever non-sniper weapons you have, and just it's good to have a sniper rifle and an M bar for a lot of the game if you can. But you know, it depends. Some parts you might want to have the overkill for if there's a lot of close range fights. But you know, on Insane, a lot of times you want to try to keep things as far away from you as possible, I think. But yeah, so now here I was just kind of scrounging ammo. But once you grab the M bar, and hopefully still have the sniper rifle, which you don't need it, but it'd be useful to have for the pouncers and just in general. But yeah, once you go to a certain part on the map, you're going to see it's going to trigger the pouncers to arrive. The pouncers can be a huge pain in the ass to deal with. So there's a few ways you can deal with them. Basically, if you get hit by their quills, you're usually dead. You know what I mean? I mean, if one or two hits you, it may not kill you, but if all three go into you, it's instant death. So they can easily kill you, and from pretty far away. So I recommend getting back here and just patiently pick away at them with your sniper weapons. Remember that shooting them in the stomach that's glowing will do extra damage, but don't worry too much about that. Just try to damage them, period, because the sniper rifles do good damage. But try to aim a little lower on their body near their stomach, because see how fast his life went down? If you can do that, you can get rid of them. Just make sure you're not popping up as the quills are coming out, or you're pretty much dead. So you can also grenade tag a pouncer when it's running on the ground and then roll away, and it'll pretty much instantly kill the pouncer. Or if not, it'll be very close to death. But I found it easier to do that in the fourth game on Insane. But in this, it wasn't. I haven't gotten it down yet too successfully. So I'm not really going to recommend that until I implement it better myself in this game. There might be something different about the pouncers that makes it harder to do that. Now I don't know. I don't know what the difference was. Usually it was pretty easy for me to do in the fourth one, but it is a risky maneuver anyway. I even tried stunning the pouncers with Jack and then trying to tag them when they were on the ground, and it just wasn't working well for me. I was getting killed doing that, so I don't know what the problem was. But anyway, now grab that tri-shot. One of your allies should have left the tri-shot behind. Do not use the tri-shot on the juvies, though. You know, just use your regular weapons. They're super fucking easy. I think I left out one of the encounters with the juvies in this video. I think they come out. There's another part where they spawn again in this area, but it's the same shit again, so it doesn't really matter. There's not much to know about that. But anyway, bring your tri-shot to this area, and I really do recommend having it because this will make this part very easy. It's just, you know, it's just a little tedious because you're going to be mowing down a lot of enemies, but it's very easy. And with the tri-shot is probably the most powerful weapon in the game, or it's up there. So try to hit them in the head if you can. I recommend aiming on their upper chest and kind of letting the reticle climb up a little bit because, you know, there's some climb on the reticle, so when you fire, so, you know, some recoil. So try to aim at their upper chest and have it kind of climb up to their head, and that's a pretty easy way to get headshots. And the more pellets you get in their head, you know, the quicker their head is going to explode, and it'll kill them faster. So it'll also, you know, conserve ammo because you only have so much tri-shot ammo, but you should be able to thin out most of the enemies by bringing this in. I mean, not that this would be that hard of a part, but it would be more difficult because you'd have to get in closer with a Lancer, or if you have your sniper, maybe you could snipe some heads. But having a tri-shot saves you from wasting sniper ammo, and, you know, it makes it pretty easy. Just take your time, though, because the closer you get to the enemies, the faster they will kill you when you pop out of cover to take your shots. You know, the enemies do more damage the closer you are to them, so you may want to keep a decent amount of distance, maybe about mid-range. You probably don't want to be too far away because then it's hard to hit, and you'll just waste a lot of ammo. I could have probably been a little closer, but there's some walls and stuff blocking my line of sight, so I chose to come down here. But yeah, very easy part. I tried to use my few remaining tri-shot pellets to take out some of these guys, but it was kind of just a waste of time. The pouncers actually gave me a hard time in this upcoming encounter where 2 pouncers come out. But I was getting a little bit more used to dealing with them. I had some encounters where I killed all the regular drone enemies and grenadiers, but then the 2 pouncers, I was running around the whole map trying to take shots at them and avoid them and try to kill them, but it was taking really long. And after a long struggle with that, then I, you know, of course, died on them again. But I found a better way to do it. That seems like my old tactic of grenade tagging them when they jump on the ground doesn't work so well in this one. But I need more time with the pouncers to really see. I might be doing something wrong. So yeah, this is the start of this. This is a long combat sequence. This is the sequence I was talking about that can be quite difficult, but these first few checkpoints are easy. Actually, all the checkpoints are pretty easy except for one. Not real. I wouldn't say like easy, but you know they're not that bad. So yeah, here you may want to use the M-bar, or you can use that grenade launcher that's on the new GL Lancer that's in that briefcase that they want you to use. I was just using the M-bar to get some headshots and clear out the guys that way. I was trying to save some of my explosives because I didn't know exactly what was coming up at this point. I don't really want to waste the explosives on the regular enemies. So now you got, I guess it's a Scion, and you know he's going to be shooting boom shots at you. So just try to take headshots on him when you can, and try to stay out of his, out of his way. If you see a missile coming at you, obviously don't just sit there and cover, because you probably will die. But I mean, you typically deal with these slow enemies. They're nothing special. Just watch out for these drones that'll, sneak up on you, and they can, sometimes they'll get on you and you don't even realize that they're there. So luckily, I don't think there's really any of those shotgun grenadiers in this area, which if they sneak up on you, they'll just kill you right away pretty much. So you'll probably have enough time to roll out and get the fuck out of there if they do sneak up on you. But yeah, just use the environment, move around and just take out the guys as you can. I have a good tactic for the upcoming part, but it'll require you to get pretty proficient with the turret. The turret is pretty fucking weak in this game for a turret. Oh, here's a grenadier. So yeah, I guess they come out a little later, but as long as you keep some distance, you can take them out as they're approaching. Use your stun and all that shit from the robot. But yeah, the next part, I recommend staying on the turret for the next part, for all the waves. That's what I did. And it is a little bit hard to do that, but I found that easier because I was able to wipe out all the enemies with the turret, except for the pouncers. Once the pouncers come out, then I would get off. But I try to clear out all the drones and or whatever they're called, all the regular enemies and the grenadiers. I try to clear them all out before dealing with the pouncers. And I use the turret to do that, so I'll explain that a little bit more. But yeah, just clean up the remainder of these guys. This is really not a hard checkpoint. I mean, there's a lot of enemies, but you have a lot of, you have a pretty fortified area. You have a lot of weapons and ammo to choose from in these areas. There's also a bunch of ammo by that truck to my right in the distance over there. There's a lot of ammo, explosive ammo and regular ammo, so if you need more, you can, go over there. There's also some grenades by that robot to my left. That large robot. But yeah, you got overkills, M-bars, all kinds of shit. It's good to have an overkill equipped for some of these parts in case you get overrun, because then you can take out the, usually it's the grenadiers that overrun me, so you can take those guys out quick with the overkill if you need to fight at close range. But it's probably good to have it in your arsenal just in case, so you can switch to it fast. I wouldn't waste it on the juvie enemies. There's a few of them at the end. I would just use a pistol or something weak. But yeah, soon the checkpoint will come in for the hardest encounter so far in the game. It's definitely the hardest encounter so far that I've played. And it may be one of the harder ones. So yeah, get on this turret immediately for this checkpoint. And what I'm going to recommend doing is staying on the turret for the entire encounter with the regular enemies until you hear Cole say that the pouncers have arrived. Once he says that they came out, then you can get off of it. But I recommend staying on it. It's going to be a tight, like I said, you come close to death, you'll probably die a lot until you get used to it. Aim for their upper chest and try to creep up a little bit to get those headshots. I find that to be effective. The more headshots you get, the faster you're going to take those guys out with the turret. So keep that in mind. That's why I say aim for the upper chest. It'll increase your likelihood of getting some extra headshots, and try to creep up a little bit. Now for this turret, it overheats very fast, so you're constantly going to be tapping and holding the RB button to cool off the turret. If you don't do that, then there's no way you're going to be able to do this part. So just keep an eye on that. You want to constantly be doing that, and you want to have the fire button ready so that as soon as the turret cools off fully, you're firing immediately. You don't want to have hesitation with that. So it does take some getting used to. And some people are probably going to prefer just taking the fight in the arena and just fighting the guys normally as they approach. I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't want to deal with all these guys if I didn't have to. I mean, I found this to be easier, but in some ways it may be harder because if you're not good at the turret, then, the guys can get up on you pretty easily. So it's more of a preference, but I like this method. Now, occasionally guys will somehow flank you from the sides. I don't know how they do it. There's probably another path they're taking. It's not because they're coming in from this front area, because I was completely covering this front area, so I would see if they crept up. But I think they come in from the sides. So if that does happen, if you hear a grenadier moving around and you hear your teammates dealing with them, get off the turret for a moment and deal with it. Use the overkill to take it out, because you'll want to use the overkill on those grenadiers at close range. But you got to be careful, because they can easily just pop you in one shot and kill you. So you got to be fast with it. But you see, I cleared out all the guys, and then I got off the turret. And then you're going to be dealing with the pouncers. As soon as the pouncers come, get off the turrets. Try to clear out all the enemies before getting off the turret. Like, you can wait until Cole announces that the pouncers showed up, and then you can even wait a little bit longer to clear out the drones. And usually the pouncers won't get to you in that time. So you have a little leniency with that to sit on the turret. So use that to your advantage and just take out any remaining drones so that you don't have to deal with them, because you don't want to deal with them while you're dealing with these two pouncers. Now I recommend taking cover at this center circular cover right here with the statue. I saw this in Separim's video. It actually turned out to be a really good way to deal with these. And you can also, I recommend using a Lancer GL, because it has a really good, the fire is good. It's a pretty tight firing spray, so it does good damage. So use that, and use the grenade launcher feature on it. Try to shoot their stomach for extra damage. And just use this pillar to keep, just keep an eye on where both pouncers are at. Because if they kind of get you on both ends, then you're going to be trapped in. It can be very dangerous. So be very aware. The main thing you have to avoid with the pouncers is their quills that they shoot out. You do not want to get hit by those. You can survive maybe one or two of the quills if you get hit, but if all three of them hit you, I think that's when you instantly die. And you can very easily instantly die on these guys. They one-hit kill you very easily. So this part gave me a lot of trouble because of these enemies. It actually took me some practice to get good enough at the turret to where I could take out all the guys as well. But once I got decent at it, I was able to take it, clear out all the regular enemies pretty quickly. Or not quickly, but efficiently. I was able to do it pretty consistently. Another thing to keep in mind that I didn't mention on the turret sequence, when you're dealing with all those drones or whatever you want to call them, regular enemies and grenadiers, always target the grenadiers first, the guys with the helmets, because those are the ones that are going to rush the position and shotgun you to death. So you should be focusing on taking those guys out first, and then deal with all the regular machine gun type of enemies. If there's too many of those machine gun enemies or whatever, they will do massive damage to you while you're on the turret. So sometimes you got to clear those guys out. So you'll get a feel for that. But yeah, the pouncers is the most difficult part. Remember, you can try to grenade tag them when they're on the ground, but it is risky. But using that center statue, I think, is going to help the most. Just pick at them, and you should kill them eventually. Now you get a checkpoint. You get yet another checkpoint here. So there's 3 checkpoints in this encounter. There's the first one, then there's the checkpoint where you have to fight those waves of enemies before the pouncers come out. And then there's this checkpoint for this large enemy here. So this guy is very easy. I beat this without dying. I didn't die at all on this part. So all you got to do is, just try to stay behind cover. They don't really do anything too dangerous. I mean, I think they have a powerful shot they can do, so you got to be careful, but just keep an eye on it. Shoot at its stomach. I mean, this part shouldn't give you any trouble, especially if you got this far. There's really no way that this is going to be difficult for you at this point. It's a very easy encounter. If your teammates get captured, shoot the stomach, obviously, to release your teammate. And yeah, there's not going to be much more to it. At one point, this guy gets in front of the turret for some reason, and that made it very easy to finish him off. See, now he's in front of the turret, so just get it. If that happens, then you got an easy kill. You see, when that turret overheats, that's the danger of using a turret. You got to be real careful with managing your heat dispersion. Use the RB to get that heat down. And you want to also be firing the turret in small bursts. Don't hold it down for too long. Just fire it in bursts. And, aim at that upper chest and make sure you're cooling it off regularly. And that's about it. And stay tuned for the next part.